TQCQ, Kilo 4 Sierra Delta Victor, Kilo 4, Sheriff's Deputy, Vance County, QRZ. Welcome to QSO. What a cop.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hello all. It's Tony, K4SDV. Kilo 4 Sierra Delta Victor, K4 Sheriff's Deputy, Vance County. Today we are going to build a battery pack. Before we build it, we're going to need a couple of things. Number one, we're going to need one of these. It is a battery box where you're going to need 21 of these 18650 cells. This one seems to be made by Unipow or Unipower, and it's 3500 milliamp hours. You can use any 18650 cells you want, even ones that were reclaimed from laptop batteries or some other project. However, I decided to purchase mine new, and this is what you get when you get the battery box kit. Top should open up. In it we have the spacers for our batteries. There's two of them. There's a top and bottom. Indicates bottom. Little line there, a little ridge. So they're going to go together like this. Also included will be some nickel strip, because we're going to need this to connect our cells. There'll also be two additional ones. And in this plastic will be our BMS. This is our BMS for our battery. Really not hard to do. But first let's figure out what our amp hours are going to be. I'm going to first start by saying there's a top and bottom to this battery, a positive and a negative. On this particular cell, the negative black line represents negative. Plus sign represents positive. This is what the negative side of the battery looks like. And this is what the positive looks like, so it's a little bit wider. On a typical button top battery that we're used to, positive will have a little button on the top, but these don't. So it's very important that you do not confuse the orientation of it and put a negative cell positive side up or a positive cell negative side up. Can have results that we don't necessarily want. Also, these are 3.7 volt batteries. So I know what you're thinking, hey Tony, when this battery is fully charged, it is only 11.1 volts, and that is absolutely not the case. These cells, when fully charged, are 4.2 volts. We're going to put 3 batteries in series. So positive, negative, positive. When connected, those 3 batteries will be in series and will give us, since these are 4.2 volt cells when they're actually fully charged, we'll have 12.6 volts, and then we'll have 7P or 7 in parallel. Since this is a 3500 milliamp hour cell, 7 of these in parallel is 24.5 amp hours. So 4 of these battery packs in parallel would be 98 amp hours, or close to 100 amp hour battery. These cells are really light, and there's not very much weight to this case. So when we're through, we are really going to have a very lightweight cell. So we'll start with our positives first. Positive. And just push them in, make sure they sit all the way to the bottom. Positive. Some of these are going to be a little bit tighter than others. Just make sure that the cell is sitting all the way to the bottom. So that's very important because we're going to have to attach our nickel strips. I'm going to use a spot welder. Some people solder theirs. Here's the thing. When you solder, you're going to need to apply a lot of heat. That heat goes into the cell and it degrades the cell. However, when you spot weld, in theory you're producing a lot of heat, but it's only for, microseconds. So it doesn't have any adverse effect on the battery. Now these are called, I want to turn this so you guys can see, but our negatives are going to go in the center. So I'm going to turn this, and remember, negative defined by being wider and that black stripe. So I know that this is the negative side of my cells. So these are going to go in here. And now we will finish up with our positives. I like making battery packs. It's relaxing to me. It's simple. It's not as complicated as one would think. Sometimes just overthinking things complicates things. And another way you can tell the top from the bottom is the batteries sit in the recess. So we're going to line everything up. So bottoms and tops, that's what they should look like. And get everything pushed flush and worked in. And some of the design, I like the way this is designed, because on the top, this nickel strip is going to go here and push it all the way back. It's almost like it was made for this. It's perfect. We're going to go all the way back, and it's going to sit in there, and then we're going to go ahead and weld everything down, and then that tab will be connected to our BMS. And on this side, it'll be the same thing, and then that tab will be soldered to a BMS, and then we're going to flip it over. And when we flip it over, things are going to kind of reverse. So for the sake of explanation, we're going to flip this over. Now remember, our dual nickel strip is on our right. So when we flip this over and we go to do the bottom, our dual nickel strip will be on our left, and then our single nickel strip will be on our right. And we said, ooh, I like I said, this just fits down. And these are perfect, man. I like this. Well, give me a couple of minutes. We're going to get this welded up, and then we're going to come right back and attach our BMS, attach our wires, put it in the box, get it charged up, and we'll be ready to go. I'll see you guys in a few. Thanks for watching. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, YouTube. We're going to get back on this battery build. For those that are wondering what I use for a spot welder, this would be it right here. Got mine off of eBay. I don't know, a year ago, maybe 25 bucks. And I use Travelers Lawn and Garden battery for a garden tractor, or what some people refer to as a riding lawnmower, and it has approximately 350 cold cranking amps. I tried using it with a 50 amp hour LiPo battery. No success. 100 amp hour LiPo battery with a 230 amp discharge rate. No success. The way spot welders work, well, you're pretty much generating a bunch of electricity and you're releasing it at one time. Typical with starting a car. So you wouldn't use per se 100 or 200 amp hour LiPo 4 cell to start a vehicle. The power's there, but that initial cold cranking is that high amp draw is what you constantly need. So hence why they don't work very well. Now I do have my vent fan pulling any gases that off gas from the battery out away from me, because potentially hazardous or explosive environment. Gonna trim up. I'd like to trim up this corner right here on this nickel strip really quick, just because it wouldn't make much difference, but I'd like it to be even, but it shouldn't make much difference. Also, when assembling your cells, these insulators right here, put them on the positive, save you a lot of headache from unwanted shorts and possibly sending your cells into thermal runaway. I've had that happen. Also, if I can get this in view right here, it's a Barron's metal trash can, because if the cell does go into thermal overload, all your fire extinguisher is going to do is make a mess. Lithium's a metal. It's Class D fire, basically. With the exception of Purple K powder to put on it, it's pretty much just going to burn itself out. At that point, you know, it's kind of hard to grab a battery pack and go running through your house to chuck it outside somewhere. Chuck it in a metal can, put the lid on it, lock the lid down. Once you remove the oxygen, fire can no longer burn. For those of you who don't know, aside from law enforcement officer, at one time I was an EMT, EMTD, and EMTI, and I was a firefighter, both in the state of Tennessee and the state of North Carolina, but kind of had a little heart thing going on at 37, so I decided to leave the firefighting alone and just full-time concentration on just law enforcement. And while we're tacking this up, for those that don't know, fire is a chemical chain reaction called pyrolysis, which is the release of energy through the display of heat and light, also known as fire. So
your quick fire chemistry lesson for this evening. I'm just going to get this lined up here. Notice I am wearing eye protection. I'm running this at 10, which seems to be pretty good, and it makes darn good welds at 10. We might have to crank this down just a little bit. Take it down to 8. Also, how good your welds are. You don't really have to press hard, just firm. Checking myself for heat, because if you start getting heat from these jokers, that means you got a short somewhere. So I'll put my next one right here. Should always be wearing eye protection. Any welding activity. If you were arc welding, I mean, you just wouldn't. I suppose you could walk up and kind of realize where you want to start your strike and then close your eyes and complete your weld. And I know that there are guys out there that they could arc weld without a hood, because I mean they've been doing it for so long. They could do it literally blindfolded. But that's a really good weld. You know, you got PPE for a reason. Use it, right? I mean, I know there's somebody out there that would joke and go, well, you got 2 eyes. Well, eyes were kind of meant to be used in like pairs. And I'm just feeling this. Now, you could, if you absolutely wanted to, yeah, you could solder this. And some people say, oh, well, you know, you put heat into it, it destroys the lithium cell. And I remember years ago, now I was born in 76, so back in the 80s. Now, my brother was the engineer. He's former Army. Ironic, I'm the warrior. I'm former Navy. But they used to, solder together the NiCad batteries. And you know, I'm sure you could still, well, I mean, you could still solder NiCads. I mean, if and you really wanted to. And you could solder these. The only thing I would say is, you know, heat on lithiums is bad. And see, we got a nice, strong weld there. Just making sure I don't see any bubbling. I know. Why are you putting that to your face, Tony? Well, I want to make sure I'm not feeling any heat. But you could solder one of these together. Some flux, high heat, really good soldering iron, and being quick with it. And when I say being quick with it, you know, get in, apply your, use solder flux, use flux definitely. Use a good flux and in and out. And by the way, not sponsored by anyone, but this Kester 186 no clean, great solder. It says no clean. I still touch mine up and clean it with 99% isopropyl or IPA. But this stuff right here was free. Pine ember. So you know, just when you pass by a pine tree, you know, you see these little amber balls. Collect the few of them, soak them in. You know, if you could fill up one of these, probably about halfway, with that pine ember, fill the rest of the way up with isopropyl. You'll end up getting this. It'll actually be darker, so you'll actually be able to split this bottle and get 2 bottles, and it's really good flux. I would not say that it's no clean. I would clean it because it is rather sticky. Okay, so notice we have our 2P on this side, our 1P on this side. I don't see too much that I think I might have to touch up, but I will go back and I will readdress this area here. And I'm just going to remove my goggles for a second. I'm going to take those off, and we're going to put on a headset. It's got the magnifier. Get down close. Okay. And you see where I got good welds, not so good weld. Have not so good weld there. Alright. So we're going to fix that not so good weld. Because it actually burned through a piece of the strip. Actually, I'm going to put my magnifier set back on because I can't see that. Unfortunately. You know, we get older, man. Things like eyesight. There we go. Alright. Touch that up. 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 Again, feel myself using the back of my hand. Everything here looks relatively good. So when you start feeling cells get hot, so 2P on this side, 1P on this side, which translates to 2P on this side, and then a 1P strip on this side. So you're going to do the same, but when we flip it over, the 2P section is over here, So that means our new 2P section is going to go over here. Alright. So what we're going to do is we're going to trim some of this nickel strip because I don't want the overhang right. At the same time I'm feeling, making sure I have a short somewhere. Okay, and I'm going to start here. And those are good. Alright, hey there people. Welcome back. Alright, so now that we've got everything welded up, so to say, spot welded, let's get a meter. What we're going to check is, this is going to be our negatives, this is going to be 0. So we should have 4, 8, 12 volts. This is our little BMS here. And it says it's a 40 amp BMS. Maybe 30 amps. But let's see if I get my meter in here so you guys can see it. Zoom a little bit. And then that's right. I could probably just hold up the meter, but 4, 8, 12. So here and here. 4. This is really hard to do. Working one-handed here, but I'm sure I could. Maybe that works right there. You guys can see if I touch the top here. See? Got the meter somewhat in view. Yep. Wow. Getting creative here. Let's see. That should be 4. Alright. Straight down. Hopefully I'm not blocking the camera view. But that's 8. And touching up here. 12. Alright. So your BMS will basically be marked the same thing. It'll be 0, 4, 8, 12. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn this. Some people put double-sided tape. Shouldn't really need any, but you know what? Yeah, I don't have any double-sided tape. But what we can do is to insulate that from the cells, Captain Tape. Couldn't hurt, right? Because the BMS is going to be soldered into place, so it's really not going to move. But I just want to have something between the back of the BMS and the cells itself. Not saying that you need anything between the back of the BMS and the cells, but a layer of Captain Tape between the back of the BMS and the cells, not going to hurt anything. Now I know some of you out there saying, well, it's not going to help anything. Well, you know what? It's definitely not going to hurt anything. And it is a layer of thermal protection. Excuse me. Because after all, you know, we do want a little bit of thermal protection. Captain Tape is not very expensive. Well, at least where I got it from, it wasn't very expensive. I think it was $10, and if you can imagine it being, you know, one big roll like this, and then cut it into 4 separate rolls. And it's about $10. Not awfully expensive. Okay, so just remember positive. Side over real quick. Positive side up. Now, right now I'm heating up the soldering iron to 850 degrees. Now, I know what you're saying is, Tony, why so hot? Oh, by the way, this is a silicone or silicon, depending on your pronunciation, soldering pad. It's part of my ESD. It's a wristband, nice thick rubber silicone soldering pad to solder on. But what I'm going to do is I will first tin these areas. I'm going to attach positive to the positive, short negative to the negative. Actually, make that a little bit longer, just a touch longer. Not very much longer. I know you guys don't, some of y'all don't like long videos. I don't mind doing long videos, because if you learn something, I mean, you learn something. And for me, it's fun, so I don't mind doing long videos. Some people don't appreciate it, but if you don't appreciate it, then, you know, you don't have to be ugly and give me a thumbs down. Just don't watch my stuff. But if you like what I do, the way I do it, like and subscribe. Love having y'all around. Yes, I'm using the Kester, but in pen form. And like I said, no clean flux, and I'm probably not going to come back and clean this. I'm just going to be honest with you. I've been using that flux pen right there in particular for a long time. Now, we went hot. On some of these. And I'm just gonna go ahead and throw the old scopes on here. Give myself a little bit extra light. You guys might appreciate the extra light too. I appreciate the extra light. I'm just gonna go ahead and put speed to this. And we're just gonna tend this. Let that solder flow. And just like that there. And I'm going to put this one there. And some are saying, oh, that's not a good way to do that. Yeah, it's not a bad way to do it either. Different placards there. Negatives. There. The positive. Twist. Positive. And we'll have to put more flux on it, but that's okay. We got plenty. Using this flux out of this pen, this stuff, you don't use very much of it, man. It kind of, this pen has lasted a long time. Kind of give them a little bit of a Y shape. A little bit of what's this stuff? 100, or I'm sorry, 99% isopropyl. So if you get like flux like that on your pad, it's 100% isopropyl. Cleans right off. It's very fast drying. It's good for cleaning flux off the boards. Not very expensive. I know some like the 91% alcohol, but why have 91% when you can just go with 100%? Bump up the temperature on the iron, 856 degrees Fahrenheit. getting over, well, I know it's not COVID. Although I have not had a COVID shot, I absolutely refuse to take one. Now, for those that are wondering, well, why don't you want to take it? Why don't you want to take your COVID shot, Tony? And that's because during my period of serving on active duty, we're going back, 30 years ago. In 94, 95, 96, and 1997. The Red Cross still will not take my blood. That's right. I can't donate blood to the Red Cross if I want to, because my period of service overseas and whatever they vaccinated me with, Red Cross says, we don't want your blood. So, with that being said, why would I want or trust a COVID shot when I cannot donate blood not only to my fellow American, but just my fellow human being in general? I can't give you blood. Because for some reason, they don't want it. Because it has to do with where I was deployed and what might have been in it or what I might have been vaccinated against. Nobody will tell me. Sure, somebody knows, but they won't tell me. Alright, so take the flush cutter, clean that up, take the hot iron, round that out. Okay. Now, put our pack on end. There's a little slot down here. One corner might be filled. You're gonna have to take something and pull out that little excess tab. If I get, I don't know, a couple years out of this battery pack, I mean, the box for the kit was, I don't know, $7. The 18650s weren't very much. And heck, man, this, all in all, it was a fun project. Building a battery pack is always a fun project. But getting to do it and getting it on video and doing it with you guys, you're watching it, you know, it's priceless for me. Yeah, ham radio is a hobby. Making antennas, building battery packs, hobby. I used to really love firearms, and I became a firearms instructor, and that crap became work, and yeah, not so much fun. I still love sometimes, you know, just to go to my reloading room and just sit down and just reload some ammo and just relax, you know. And solid cartridge reloading instructions. So if you ever buy a press, and it doesn't matter what type of press, Dillon, Ordeal, RCBS, ain't nothing wrong with lead presses. I know somebody's gonna go, oh, lead presses are horrible. Nothing wrong with lead presses. They reload ammo just fine. If they're reloading crappy ammo, it's because the person who's loading the ammo doesn't know what they're doing. There's a learning curve to everything. Yeah. Well, hello there, everybody. Welcome back. I'm sorry, man. Battery in the cam went dead, but anyway, this is what we're looking at. You know, give yourself a good coat of Kapton tape. Get in here, turn this so y'all can see it, solder on your connections, and that's it. If you want to, and if you want to, if you really want to, you can go ahead and throw a layer of shrink wrap on this, and that'll give you some additional winter protection if you're operating out in the cold, you know, below zero. Because as we know, we can use lithiums and discharge them below 0 degrees Celsius or 32 degrees Fahrenheit. We just can't charge them when it's that cold. But like I said, if you want, you can throw a layer of shrink wrap on that. But at this point, you know, trying to work the camera one-handed, work one-handed here. But you know, off it goes into the case and seal her up, and it's a done deal. And until we meet again, it has been a pleasure. This is Tony, Kilo 4, Sierra Delta Victor. That is K4, Sheriff's Deputy, Vance County. Peace out. Love you guys, man. Come and check out more of my videos. God bless. Good night.